Greetings and welcome everyone to the Beers and Bodyslams podcast. Sitting across from me, he's the awesome sauce to my jelly donut, good old JB.
Sitting to my left is my very own Cool Ranch Dorito himself, Mr. Fluffy.
And sitting across from me is my Dave's Insanity sauce that I dip my fries in, Irish.
Yes, and we are so glad that you're taking time out to listen to our show. We have a great show for you. We're talking about some of the greatest feuds in the WWE in the Post Attitude Era. And I think we have picked 5 of the best. And we're going to talk about them. We're going to sample an incredible beer. We can't wait to tell you about all of that when we come right back.
Awesome!
This is the Beers and Bodyslams podcast
I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
with your host, Mr. Fluffy,
Hello, ladies.
good old JB,
Booty-O's! They make sure you ain't booty.
and the Irish O'Leary.
There's only one word to describe you, and I'm gonna spell it out for you. A-A-W-S-T!
This is the only podcast bringing you craft beer and pro wrestling that really matters.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, D-Generation X proudly brings to you its WWF Tag Team Champion of the World, the Road Dogg Jesse James, the Badass Billy Gunn, the new.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
All right, this is the point in the show where we've already recorded one show. We're already one beer in. We're all a little goofy. And Mr. Fluffy gets to tell us about the second beer we're having today.
So today is a very fun special beer. It's a quad. I love quads and triples. So this is from Unibroue, which I love their beers. It's La Trouble, which is terrible, but I don't care. It's amazing.
Terrible.
It's 10.5% alcohol.
Yes, it is.
I love a good quad, but it's sweet. It's kind of heavy. It's brewed with like some nice dark ale spices and stuff like that. It's got a nice flowery, goodness to it. What do you guys think?
I'm intrigued by it
Intrigued by it?
Yes.
Why are you intrigued by it?
because I can't really make out the flavor profile,
It's liquor. That's what you can't with a quad.
but it's really interesting. I don't dislike it.
Yeah.
It's good. It's not super duper, like it doesn't weigh heavily on you like some quads that I've had. It's got a lot of great flavor. It's got an intense front end. It's got a nice, pleasant back end. It's just good beer. For a quad, I love it.
And I know a lot of people don't like quads and triples for the reason of is they're the most liquory of beers. I mean, you definitely you can't drink a quad without thinking like scotch and bourbon and stuff like that, and whiskey and gin and stuff like that.
That's where my mind goes.
Yeah, it definitely, and that's why I love them because you're getting that flavor of a really good spirit, but an amazing beer. So I love this.
And I'm a bourbon guy, so I tend to gravitate towards these kind of beers.
But Unibroue is a great brewery. They're nationwide. They're from Canada, but you can find them everywhere. They're also the same brewery that does some. They do. The other one is Les Dumont. Fin de Mont is another great one that I like from them.
That's a great beer.
Yeah, that we'll do someday, but I like that beer too. So try them out. It's a fun beer to try if you've never tried a quad. This is a good example of a good starter quad, I think.
What do you think would go good with this food-wise?
Steak.
Yeah.
I think good
Yeah,
steak.
it's heavy.
Just like with any good bourbon, a good steak would be good with this.
Bratwurst would be good.
Bratwurst would be good.
I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, but a good steak or good
Fire up the grill.
or like bison or something like that, or a gamey meat like a elk or something like that would be really, really good with this.
Yeah, this would be good to
Sorry, vegans.
kill something, put it on the grill, and watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's right. Venison. This would go really good with venison.
Yes.
Is venison
He
sweetness?
dared to kill a king's dare.
So see.
All right, so this week we're talking about the best feuds since the end of the Attitude Era. We're defining the end of the Attitude Era as 2006 is when it finally fluffered itself out, and they went, "Oh
See what you
crap!
did there.
Oh crap!" Well, okay, we'll talk about that. We were talking before the show.
Fluffered itself out.
We were talking about before the show. There is a moment I think the Attitude Era not necessarily ended, but definitely marked its moment where they went, oh crap, we've got to stop this. And that was the Lita Edge, let's have sex in the middle of the ring moment that happened in 2005. Because kind of you watch after that, it starts to change and settle down. And I really think that's the moment where Vince went, holy crap.
No, that's the moment where the network said, we're going to pull your show off air if you don't get it together.
In the writers' room, was like, hey guys, you got an idea?
Yeah, that was
USA Network saying no.
In the end of the Attitude Era in 2006, we brought in what became the PG era. It really changed a lot. They toned it down a ton, sexuality-wise. We got rid of the chair shots to the heads in a lot of ways. We got rid of
good.
Talk to Mick Foley about that one. We got rid of blood. There wasn't nowhere near as much bleeding unless it was very special moments. And we just sort of toned it down with the women, and we really made wrestling more prominent instead of just trying to be shocking,
family-friendly violence.
Yeah, family-friendly violence. Yeah, exactly. Like a good action movie. Family-friendly violence. Let's watch a guy get his arm blown off. Yay!
Hey, as long as there's no blood, it's okay.
What we did was we kind of went through and looked at since then till now, we kind of picked 5 feuds that we feel kind of define those times, define the current times, had an impact on the sport that really pushed it forward. And the first one I want to start out with is probably the oldest out of the group, which is HBK and Jericho. It was near the beginning of the new PG eras, 2008-ish.
Mm-hmm. Probably the best one, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it was an amazing. I think it's amazing because it was Jericho becoming Jericho that we always wanted him to be. Even when he came up from WCW, he was always so sort of whiny, and he had great matches, but he didn't have that edge to him, that killer edge. And I think this is the feud where he really showed up and became this sort of assassin that he still runs with now, that he's just mean, period.
Yeah, he was kind of the comic relief. Even when he was a heel, he was kind of like the chicken shit heel, but this kind of, like you said, it gave him an edge. I remember when HBK broke his Geratron 5,000, whatever it was.
Well, right now it's a 6,500. It costs $6,500. That's according to Jericho on Raw recently.
That started it, and then just the matches and the promos they had, they just took each other's game to another level.
Right.
And for me, that is clearly the best feud I've seen since the Attitude Era.
Yeah, Jericho's character had this malevolent jealousy.
Another word.
Sorry.
Wow, Did you get a word of the day?
I can't help the fact that
beer brings out the best in you.
I read. I'm sorry. I'm not.
I read too, but I'm not bringing up malevolent.
I read Green Eggs and Ham once.
I read books, not girly mags. Well, anyway, there was just this.
I read the articles.
There was just this malevolence to his character. I remember the moment that he slammed Shawn Michaels' face in, and there was that that piece of the glass from the screen that got caught in his eye, and everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, you've ruined his eyes. He can't see."
Oh, yeah.
I was like, there's a part of that I was like, I know this is not real, but is this real? Did you really just screw Shawn Michaels' face up? I mean,
and he's a pretty boy.
Yeah, he's a sexy boy.
Nasty boy.
Sexy boy. He's not your boy toy.
Oh, he punched his wife, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that.
It's like, what the hell is going on here?
Punches another man's wife.
I was like, yeah, this shit's got real fast.
But it was also interesting because it sort of reinvented HBK.
Yeah.
It brought HBK back from, I don't want to say, well, he was lost.
Was this prior to the Ric Flair?
Yes.
Yeah, because I guess 10 years ago.
Yeah. It was way before he retired Ric Flair. That's what I'm saying. Is if you look at the end of the Attitude Era, Shawn Michaels sort of got lost.
Not to get off, this is where Jericho dumped the Y2J gimmick.
Yeah.
So he kind of transitioned from that into the heel persona that he
now runs with permanently.
Yeah, he started it. He's been perfecting it. And I just think this iteration of Jericho, it's transformed now to the modern era of Jericho, where it's everything.
Yeah,
he can be mean, he can be serious, he can wrestle, and he can be funny. Because you know what he's got? It.
That's great. You better watch. You better not make fun of him though, because he'll put you on the list.
Yes.
You'll be put down as unnamed podcast host.
Whatever. You know, he is the man of 4,001 holds.
That's right. But it was just great because it brought back HBK because he really was lost the end of the Attitude Era. Because I think he got overshadowed by so many people. Plus, he had a lot of physical issues. And when he came into this feud, he showed he could wrestle again. And that's where like some with Jericho was great because he could allow him to do the things he needed to do to make him look good. And Jericho could help him throughout the match to make him look great and amazing.
Right. I agree.
All in sports or in entertainment, everybody needs that one person to push them, to make them, that brings out the best of them. And this was he had done it all. He had left, he had come back. And this kind of, like I said, re-energized him. He was like, okay, I still got a little bit left in the tank. He's bringing this, he's making me step my game up.
Yeah.
And I'm Shawn Michaels. I didn't think I had another gear to go to, but this brought, this was a Bret Hart type of feud for me.
Yeah.
For HBK.
I agree with you.
That's good.
Next one up, talking about going to a next gear, is CM Punk versus John Cena. And we're talking back in 2011, which would be the Money in the Bank, the infamous pay-per-view. Where
Chi-Town.
Yeah, where he, Punk ended up winning, leads with the belt. And why I say it is, I think this was one of the matches where Cena realized he was going to have to get better in the ring to be able to hang with people like CM Punk. And this, again, it goes back to, I think, where we're seeing Cena now is directly correlated to this feud. Because it made him look at himself and go, okay, I have to learn how to wrestle. Because CM Punk pushed him to his limit in every way, shape, and form. Promo-wise, in the ring-wise, just beating him down. And even the whole company. I mean, this is the whole pipe bomb where, CM Punk quit. His contract was up. He said, I'm going to win and leave. And he did exactly what he did. He won the belt and walked away.
Right.
Isn't this where the fans kind of started to turn on Cena a little bit?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah. I think this was around that time.
But again, because they looked at Cena and realized that, number one, he was the company guy. And he really, at that point, had 4 moves.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
But to his credit, he's reinvented himself again. And now the modern Cena is a lot better than I think the Cena from 2010 for that reason. And I think this is a huge reason why is that he was pushed and pushed hard.
Yeah, and he's a perfectionist too. So he would shed it. He did, I'm a musician. We call it woodshedding. You just go in and practice and practice and practice. And that's what he did. He went and figured it out, went and talked to some of the greats. I mean, when you're John Cena, you can call up any legend in professional wrestling and say, hey, can I get 10 or 15 minutes with you? It's probably not a big deal. But the thing is this is when CM Punk became the legend CM Punk.
Oh,
because,
yeah.
That pipe bomb was an incredible unveiling. There is always a little bit of dropping kayfabe. Like the whole deal, a few years prior to that with Lita and Edge and Matt Hardy.
Yeah.
That was one of those first times where I remember them using a legit issue as a storyline. And there was another time when, like Matt or Jeff Hardy was we had it on a list. We took it off when Jeff was feuding with CM Punk and he's doing, Punk's doing the straight edge superstar
Hardy was
thing.
drunk the entire time.
Hardy's high or drunk or whatever the hell he was and still is.
Still is.
And he's, he's doing his thing. And, Punk is calling it out for what it is.
Yeah.
And those are the times when, and I think John Cena learned a lot from that because look at some of the promos that he cuts nowadays.
Yeah.
He goes he went at AJ Styles.
Oh, yeah.
Attacking some of the things that he said about, AJ and never winning the big one and being in the big leagues and calling him boy and using phrases that then when Punk or AJ Styles turned around and started calling out John Cena for burying guys, I just remember that moment. I remember watching CM Punk sitting cross-legged on the floor, doing his pipe bomb, thinking, "That's good, good stuff."
In that promo, in the pipe bomb, and this whole lead up to this feud, CM Punk created a phrase that we still use today, as in a Paul Heyman guy.
Yep.
That was the start of BZZ. He goes, "Yeah, Paul Heyman. Yeah, I'm a Heyman guy." And went on from there. And that phrase still resonates today. Like, and I'm sad that Heyman's not on TV as much. I mean, that's a completely different topic. But, if you say you're a Heyman guy, that means something now. It still means something 5 years later to be associated with him.
Right.
But this is that moment. And I think it really pushed the company. It was also a changing point because it's 2011. I don't want to say the company was wandering, but they definitely needed direction, and CM Punk became that direction because he became that legend. He became the thing they rallied behind.
Right.
He also showed a different kind of wrestler than they're used to. Totally tattooed, smaller, faster, more brutal than they were used to in a more cunning way.
Well, what this also led to, I think they headlined the 1000th Raw show, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right.
And then eventually led to Cena being the first guy to unsuccessfully cash in the Money in the Bank.
Yep.
So there was a lot that came out of this feud, man. It was definitely one of my favorites.
And it's also one of those feuds that I think resonated for years afterwards. That every time Cena would go up against Punk in any way, it would all be referenced back. You would always immediately see the video packages of the pipe bomb
Yeah.
and the 2011. So again, that's when you show a great feud is when the guys feud again in the future, it all ties right back again to that original feud.
Right.
To pull
Yeah.
back.
I would say this more like ripples.
Yeah.
Ripples coming out of that one event. I mean, stop and think, you know, had CM Punk not dropped the pipe bomb, had CM Punk not been as incredible with John Cena and said some of the things and done some of those things, would we see AJ Styles as champion? Would we see Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, these guys who are coming from the indies? Would we have a Daniel Bryan doing the yes movement, winning the championship, being as integral, as important as Daniel Bryan is to the history of WWE? If we don't have a CM Punk legitimately calling out John Cena on some of his issues.
I agree with you. I agree with you completely. I agree with you totally. I don't think we
ripples.
would.
Well, just his, like I talked about last week, just him being that internet sensation and having that popularity coming in, it forced Vince and Triple H to look and say, hey, you know, we got something here. Whether they liked it or not, you know, the fans kind of, you know, told them what they wanted, and they had to
pulled the curtain
they
back.
had to open that opportunity for other people.
All right, so the next feud up on the list we're going to talk about is The Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar.
People are still mad about this one.
It's the end of the feud. The ending of the streak is bad, but the feud itself was amazing for that reason. We got 3 good matches. We got a Hell in a Cell.
Right.
Probably got Taker's last Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, and it really was what I originally thought it was sort of like a.
I mean, other than the one from the last WrestleMania.
Well, true, yeah. Yeah. Well, his last good one. His last good one.
Yeah, okay,
I said
okay.
His last good one. Yeah, the one against Shane was
Is
not
that the
good.
one where he sat up and Brock started laughing at him? And
No,
the
that was a
Taker
different match,
like,
but that, yeah, exactly. It was in this feud, though, where he stood up and laughed at him. But this feud was great, though, because it was sort of the icon, obviously, the Phenom in The Undertaker versus the Unstoppable Force. And, you know, going into that WrestleMania, we all assumed that Undertaker was going to win.
Yeah.
That, you know, was it going to be at WrestleMania 30 the normal, hey, you know, Lesnar's going to win there. Lesnar will put up a good fight. Taker will tombstone and pin him 1, 2, 3. You know, that is still one of the greatest crowd reactions I've ever seen at any pay-per-view ever.
I can still see that guy's face that they showed for like 6 months afterwards.
Oh, yeah. It's not even that. It's if you
like
watch.
his dog died or something.
I watched
He
it
was
again.
So upset.
I watched the end of that match, and you literally hear people going 1, 2, thinking Taker's going to kick out,
Right.
and then all of a sudden the entire crowd goes dead silent
What?
because everybody was what?
That's what I did. I was like, "What the hell just happened?"
And
I couldn't. I thought it was an accident.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I thought they messed up.
Yeah,
Only when Kevin Owens was handed the belt from Triple H have I seen a performance to the degree of Paul Heyman.
Oh, him going, "What'd you do?
What did you do?
What'd you do?
What did you do?
What did you do?" It
I was like, that's good. Because you know that they knew going in. And
What do you mean they knew? Are you telling me the matches are predetermined?
you apparently don't listen to your own podcast. All right. So but I was so blown away. I remember sitting there watching it just in shock. And my immediate thought was, seriously? Brock Lesnar's a guy that breaks a streak?
That's what my thought process.
And apparently Undertaker said, you're the guy. And I'm like, were you high? I mean,
A guy that's a part timer.
were you hanging out with Jeff
Well, they're
Hardy
both
when you
okay,
made that
but
decision?
they're both hard timers. Let's not the part timer.
No,
thing is
no.
what it-
I understand that. I mean, Undertaker's he's on the downside, but I mean, Brock is still made inventing pay-per-views.
Yeah,
So like my thing would have been, if you're gonna break it, make it, use it to elevate somebody that you already have. use a Bray Wyatt or somebody like that to give him instant credibility, someone you could market around. But then I feel like they wasted it on a guy who didn't need it. You know what I mean?
True. But then you go into, you had the WrestleMania match, then you went into the SummerSlam match. And the SummerSlam match was amazing. That's the match you're thinking of where he sat up and laughed at him, which is still one of the most iconic moments.
It's weird looking.
It's them laughing at each other and then punching each other in the head. It was just like,
I just imagine, Brock's laughing like, ha, 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 ha. The Undertaker's like, ha, 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 ha. I don't feel comfortable doing this.
Oh my God. He looked weird doing it. But again, he gave us 3 amazing matches, which again, for a rivalry is not a ton, but that shows you how good this rivalry was, that you really only had 3 matches and it just was amazing in itself.
Because we all saw them on the same level.
Yeah, we don't need a best of 7 to see the quality of the wrestling. I'm looking right at you, Cesaro and Sheamus.
Oh, come on.
When creative has nothing for you.
Yeah. But the other thing is about this match is the fact that Lesnar went over in the end. Lesnar won 2 out of the 3 matches. So I don't know if that says something about where Vince wanted to go at that point, and then kind of things changed a little bit with what they did with Lesnar. But, obviously I don't know if they were looking for, I'm assuming Lesnar will always be now. He's the new Undertaker in that Taker's going to retire probably this year. And
I hope so. I really hope so. Not because I don't like him.
No, but
it's just time. Yeah.
But is Lesnar the next Taker, as in he only shows up once or twice a year, beats people up, and leaves?
No.
Right.
He won't be around after his contract runs out.
Yeah, I think
Lesnar?
So. Yeah. Vince ain't going to pay him $4 million for, 15 dates a year anymore.
Yeah. Undertaker needs to go ahead and retire before he has to come out with a walker.
Oh, that came close at one point.
Yeah, I just don't want to. I don't want to.
That Shane McMahon Undertaker match. That was okay. We won't talk about that. All right, so the next one up is The Rock versus John Cena.
Once in a lifetime.
Twice. This was a 2-year.
Well, that's how they built it initially.
Oh, I know, but this is a 2-year feud.
Yeah.
Because
Talk about a slow burn.
Well, a year build up for the first one.
For the first match. Then you had the first match, and then you had another year for the second match.
I was actually at that Mania in Miami, the first match.
Oh, my God. What was great about these is the fact that it was The Rock's coming back in a way, because he hadn't been there in a long time.
Yeah.
And he came back and proved he could still do it. It produced probably one of my favorite Rock promos of all time was the one in Boston where he's standing next to the harbor looking at all the John Cena merchandise going, look, John Cena hat, throws it, takes the John Cena clothing and goes, that smells like it's like monkey ass or something like that.
Fruity Pebbles or something.
Exactly. And that's the other thing is this feud was so prolific in a way is The Rock throws out a line and said, you look like Fruity Pebbles. The next thing you know, John Cena has a deal to promote Fruity Pebbles. I mean, that just shows you how mainstream this match went. Because I do remember this rivalry was everywhere. Entertainment Tonight, Access Hollywood, TMZ, ESPN, like everybody was talking about this match.
Because at that point, The Rock had fully crossed over.
Oh, yeah.
And to where he is now, he's the highest paid actor in Hollywood. But he brought all those other outlets over, and it kind of set up the stage for right now, with them being on ESPN and all this cross branding, Good Morning America, all this cross promotion. That he helped bring that over in this feud. What I remember about this is I was reading an article that Cena did an interview where he said this was the feud that they literally were about to turn him heel. It literally crossed their mind. He said they thought they were going to finally pull the trigger on his heel turn during this feud, and for whatever reason, they decided not to.
Because The Rock was a better heel.
He didn't play the heel though.
He did. He was heely. He was heel. He was a.
The crowd was behind him.
Yeah, but no, that doesn't mean. But the other thing about this feud is I think some people forget is the fact that number one, it was 2 years. Is the fact that this is the thing that ended CM Punk's title reign.
Yep.
Because The Rock beat Punk, and then The Rock lost the belt to Cena later. So you wonder if it wasn't for that, how long would have CM Punk's reign gone on?
Right.
And that was one of the things that even CM Punk goes back to. That's one of the reasons he kind of left the company.
Yeah, that was beginning of the end for him.
He talks about that. He was pissed that he lost to a part-timer in the way he did. But the other thing is what I liked about this feud is we had 2 matches that were actually really good. Both WrestleMania matches were actually really good and compelling.
They actually, the intrigue was they really didn't like each other at that time.
Nope.
There was a lot of animosity between the two of them. And you could really see it.
Well, because The Rock looked at Cena as a cheaper version of him.
Yeah, and Cena called him out, for basically leaving the industry. That helped him get to where he was, and he resented The Rock for that because he kind of looked up to him coming into the business.
Yeah.
And you could see the promos. The truth came out in a lot of those promos.
Oh, yeah.
They were able to just kind of go for it, and it really was kind of off scripted, which was great.
Yeah, it's funny how things come full circle.
Yeah.
Now Cena's in a feud, and Dean Ambrose is doing the exact same thing to John Cena that John Cena did to The Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was just such a fun feud, and it really was two icon versus icon, and it wasn't a passing of the torch match, and that's what I liked about it. It wasn't some sort of, here, we're going to give you the belt, and you're going to beat this guy to show you the best. Cena was already the top guy. The Rock was coming back to prove he was still the top guy, and it was just fun. It was enjoyable. I missed The Rock for this reason. I just wanted him to come out and talk once in a while. I don't need to wrestle. Just come out once in a while and cut promos.
The only thing was the last time The Rock was here was when Lana was still in the doghouse, and they used The Rock. Oh God! They used The Rock to
bury
her. To bury her.
Yeah,
I thought that was crap.
Yeah.
But again, that's the because don't be a bully, be a star. WWE. But anyway, all of which to say, I think when The Rock comes, it's a big deal, and I want it to always be a big deal, and that's why I think it's time for Cena to start doing more things. So when Cena does come in, it's a big deal. Because I want John Cena gone.
So you want him to become successful, so he leaves.
The day is coming where he ties Ric Flair's record. We all know that day.
The question is, did you break Ric Flair's record?
No, he will never break it.
You think he'll tie him?
I don't think he will want to break it just out of respect he has for Flair. But I think that he's definitely going to tie him, and then you'll see him start to transition.
What if he won the belt, and then Flair came back and wrestled him for the belt?
They'll never let him do it again.
Oh, my God.
What if it was Ric Flair goes, well, you tied me, so now I got to beat you
that
to
retirement
take my
match
spot back?
That was his last match he'll ever wrestle in WWE ring.
In WWE, there's your answer, because he wrestled matches in the company they were about to buy.
Yeah, well, he needed the money, apparently, from what I understand.
And Rick, if you would like to come on the air and talk about how you'd like to beat John Cena to win the title, we would love to have you.
And we have beer on this show, so we'll get you.
We'll get you.
We'd love to hear some airport stories.
Oh, my God, the stories. That's why I'm...
We'll give you 2 hours just to tell us all about the stories.
We won't even talk. We'll just give you a microphone and go... record.
Have you ever listened to his podcast?
No.
I tried to, but his co-host ruins it for me.
That, and they're drunk the whole damn time. I mean,
maybe we should go a little harder on that.
Yeah, we should do
we're gonna do shots
chasers. We should do chasers and get really
beer,
stoned.
shots, and body slams.
Beer, whiskey, and beer, shots, and body slams. No, this is what you hear. It'd be like, hi, this is Beers.
Welcome to Beers and Bed Bath and Beyond.
Welcome to Beers, Bed Bugs, and Broomsticks. How can I help you? Yeah, that's not a good idea. But again, it also brought attention back to WWE in a lot of ways. They needed it. Like, this pushed WWE back into me. I don't think they would have the network as big as it is. I don't think the ESPN relationship, because the Rock and Cena feud really kind of pushed them back into the mainstream.
You mean to tell me that Jonathan Coachman's being hired by ESPN hasn't helped them?
No, definitely. He's the one that pushed that.
Okay,
Of course.
I believe, I know that, but I still think that them being pushed back in the mainstream helped a ton.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm just saying.
But they weren't on board with it for a long time. I mean, he literally fought behind the scenes to help get them on. But
Coachman's doing the honors to somebody over there in ESPN.
Now, okay, think about it. Have you seen the old This Is a Sports Center ad that had the wrestlers in it? Did you ever see that?
Maybe.
It's an old ad. It's probably 10 or 15 years. In fact, it's got Shawn Michaels, young Shawn Michaels. And the Undertaker.
I don't think I remember that one.
When he had hair.
Yeah, and it's great. The only reason I remember it is they're talking about, like, oh, why don't you show our highlights? He's like, and one of the ESPN guys like, oh, it's the camera angles you use. It's the way you guys shoot it. It won't fit with our stuff. It was just funny the way it's a great. If you can find it on YouTube, look up WWE Sports Center. It's hysterical.
I tell you what, going back on this feud here, I was at that WrestleMania. I've been to a few actually. WrestleMania. This one,
bragger.
The crowd was so electric for this match. Like it literally felt like I was at a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like there was so much buzz throughout the whole event. And when this match started, like probably 70% of the fans never sat down.
Yeah,
It was
and it was a great
incredible.
match. That Rock
It
won
was
and
incredible.
just ran with it.
They shouldn't have done a second one, but it was great.
Well, I think that the reaction they got from the first one, I don't think there was ever plans for a second one.
Yeah.
I think they got such a huge response to the first one. They're like, well, we can't leave money
Too
on
much
the
money
table.
on the table. Yeah.
And then they got the idea, hey, let's put the belt on the Rock. Yeah, that's brilliant. I never agreed with the Rock's title reign like that.
Yeah.
He should have never held the belt as a part-timer. It should have just been Cena going up, but that's beside the point. Hey, Vince, we love you and we'd love to have you on the show.
Moving on.
Moving on to our last feud. I think a feud that has shaped this company for what we're seeing now in ways that we will talk about 20 years from now. It's Daniel Bryan versus Triple H / The Authority.
I was going to say something smart ass.
What were you going to say, smart
I was
ass?
going to say something like, the Katie Vick angle.
Yes, the Katie Vick, yes.
What the hell?
Jeff Jarrett.
You don't remember the Katie Vick angle?
No.
Go ahead.
Oh my good
You brought
Lord.
it up. You can tell him.
So Kane was in an angle with Triple H, and Katie Vick was supposedly an ex-girlfriend of Kane, and or something, and
That he killed.
that he killed. And so
He
they went
burned.
and dug up the
I
body.
vaguely remember this.
And that's
And
the
Triple H was wearing a Kane mask and
think I
opened
tried
up
to-
the casket
And crawled into it.
and Wink had sex with it.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that.
Oh, my God.
Oh my god.
That-
I
be-
remember standing at a friend. I was hanging out at a friend's house, and it's a long story, but I was standing there watching that segment. Like, I can't watch this anymore. This is gone.
That was
I think I'd like subconsciously try and put stuff out of my mind when I see stuff like that.
that angle, the angle where the Big Boss Man stole Big Show's father's casket.
Oh yeah, that one.
And then the other one the Boss Man did was when he ate peppers. Al Snow's dog. Do you remember that angle for a while?
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. And you remember when was it Mae Young had Mark Henry's hand?
Yeah, there was some weird stuff.
Oh,
These
that's
are
all.
not- these
that's
are
all
not-
Attitude Era
we can
stuff.
have a whole
These
show
are-
about this.
These are not honorable mentions. These are just horrible things that happen in the company.
And we're talking about great angles. Well, you have to talk about the
This is-
crap angles too.
But Triple H / The Authority versus Daniel Bryan.
Oh yeah.
That is
Yes.
still being resonant today. It's still being felt every moment, every show that we do. I think Daniel Bryan became the ultimate underdog. He showed a new type of wrestler, again, small, fast, feisty. He sort of took the CM Punk idea and took it to a different level. He opened the door for people like KO and Finn Balor and those guys to really prove they could do it. This angle made us as the universe feel like we were involved. I know I did. We all did. We all felt like we were invested in this.
Right.
And I think that's what makes a great angle is it wasn't just, oh, let's watch two guys wrestle. It was, I want Daniel to win because he's winning for me.
Yeah. He could relate to the average fan.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, they opened the door and they kind of changed Vince's thought process to where guys, didn't have to look like Brock Lesnar or The Undertaker to be champion.
You're welcome.
It was okay for a 220-pound, 6-foot guy, to be champion. It became more about the wrestling than the look.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, except for Braun Strowman. Anyway,
Well, he's not winning anything.
but
He
I
ain't doing nothing.
Beating airport security up.
yeah, and this was also extremely important because we all kind of, especially in the internet wrestling community, really we read the dirt sheets and we see and we hear the interviews and we hear about what Triple H and Stephanie are like backstage and the politics and the way that Vince is backstage. So it was so empowering for us to be able to watch Daniel Bryan shut down Raw, wink, wink, to have all those yes chants happening and those people with the Daniel Bryan shirts in there just basically take over and just say, hey, Daniel is our champion. We want Daniel Bryan as our champion.
Well, this one had one of the greatest and saddest blow-offs of an angle ever.
Oh, yeah.
Because you had Daniel Bryan going to WrestleMania and wrestle two of the greatest matches he ever wrestled against Triple H and then against Blutista. Is that what we're going? Blutista and Randy Orton to win the belt. And then obviously what happened afterwards, he had to give it up. Yeah. So it became amazing and tragic at the same time. But God, those two matches, you go back and watch those matches, his match with Triple H, you're not sure he's going to win at some points. Like you wonder at one point if he's just going to lose and they're going to bury him like they do everybody else, and they're going to laugh their way to the main event, and they don't. And they really pull a swerve on everybody.
Well, he got buried, as a matter of fact, at that WrestleMania that I talked about with the Cena Rock, where he lost in 16 seconds to Sheamus.
Yep.
He lost his title.
Yeah.
So, like, I think, after that, I didn't even think he could recover from that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, he got kicked he kissed AJ and then got kicked in the face.
16 seconds title loss at a WrestleMania. I was like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah. Right.
But then for him to be able to persevere, and like I said, the fans, when they come out and they literally thank the fans in these promos for helping them get to where they are, they're not kidding, because the fans are literally got behind him to the point where they couldn't ignore him.
Sorta. I mean, I still want to throw in the Roman Reigns thing, so it doesn't make sense to me. I get top merchandise, kids love him, blah blah blah, but he's booed out of the building. But anyway, I digress. Danny Bryan had to go through to, using Shinsuke Nakamura's words, icons to win the championship belt, and then to have to give it up was just heartbreaking. And that moment resonates today.
Well, I think that, and just what it represented, we wouldn't be seeing Seth Rollins and KO and Shinsuke and Sami Zayn if it wasn't for this angle. I really don't, but I think this opened the door. It showed that the smaller guys could really, and not even necessarily in the ring, it shows you could capture the crowd, and it didn't have to be muscular. And I think that maybe what changed Vince's mind is saying, look, this little guy has got everybody. So we don't need to have 7-foot muscle guys to win the crowd over.
And it's about wrestling. It's about telling a story. It's about doing what you do in the ring. And people appreciate it. Anytime, granted at the pay-per-view, I often wonder if it's because they're just bored, but there just seems to be a lot of times where like, this is awesome. Are they really showing appreciation, or has it become cliche?
It's cliche.
They're trying to hijack the show.
Unfortunately, it has become cliche, because I've seen some awesome wrestling, and I'm really not 100% sure that Sheamus and Cesaro's 7th match was awesome.
No.
But that's what the crowd was chanting. Now, not taking anything away from Sheamus or Cesaro, and I certainly couldn't do what they do.
No.
But
if we put enough tape on you, we could.
Kinesio tape is
Kinesio
amazing.
tape. I could make you Cesaro right now.
You have to shave my head.
There's your Halloween
drop
costume,
125 pounds. But
you can go as Cesaro for Halloween, man.
Just cover yourself in Kinesio tape and just like,
Just shave your head.
I'm going to go to Mickey's Not So Scary and burst out of my clothes. And as the Orange County sheriffs are taking me away, but look at my Kinesio tape.
If you have a rip-off suit and you wear it to Mickey's Not So Scary here in Orlando, I would love that. I want video of that, and that'd be hysterical.
So who are you? James Bond? No. I'm Cesaro. Who are watch?
Watch.
Clink, clink, clink.
But I also think this feud did a few things in that it really showed emotion that you could build, and it's something that's missing currently from the product, that you could really build emotion in this and have it make fun and enjoy it and really build the crowd into it.
The best emotion has to come organically. You can't manufacture that through a storyline.
No.
You know what I hate about this angle the most?
What?
Triple H is involved.
Why do you hate him? Why do you hate Triple H so much?
I don't hate Triple H. Well, no, I don't hate Triple H. I just think
you kind of hate on him a lot.
I do hate on him a lot.
Why do you hate
shit
me?
on himself all the time? Because he's always there. Name one other wrestler that doesn't wrestle that's always attached to the championship belt.
Jeff Jarrett.
In WWE?
No, I'm just picking a guy.
Well, you got to look at his dynamic is different than theirs. I mean, he's going to take over the company. He's 14-time champion. I mean, he's always going to be in the main event picture somehow or another. He's an on-screen character as a COO.
Long time ago.
So,
long time ago, I was visiting New York with some friends, and the mom.
Story time with Irish.
Blow me.
This should make a regular segment here.
Come, boys and girls.
Now it's story time with Irish.
Come, boys and girls.
Sponsored by, hopefully, Guinness.
Come, boys and girls. I'm going to tell you a little story. Back in the day when I was just a little young Irish, I was visiting the Big Apple up in the big, mean world of New York City.
This better go somewhere real fast.
And I was with you. So we were
in the story out in a second.
Shut up. I will tell you the story. So we were up there, and we were up there with some friends, and the mom was with the daughter, and they were going to this party, and they said, now look, you can either be the reason that you come to the party, all these people are coming to see you, or you can be on the arm of the person who's there for the party. And I remember that, and I was thinking, wow, what a horrible thing to tell your daughter. And it's exactly the Triple H thing. If he's not champion, he's got to be connected to it. The thing about Daniel Bryan and that whole angle that pissed me off is Triple H. The thing about Kevin Owens right now is Triple H. He has no business being involved in this. He has no position, wink, wink, in the company other than he's COO, as far as we know.
Isn't that a position? Pretty
Yeah,
high-ranking one. So.
Yeah, but he has no. It's like, but
He's just not creative.
But he hasn't.
Yeah.
But he's not got an on-air personality right now.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Out of nowhere, it's just like, hey, I'm going to walk out, and I'm going to give the championship to you. You're my guy. And then I'm going to disappear.
And I'm going to pick up my wife at the end of the pay-per-view.
Well, he's tied to Stephanie, though.
Yeah.
So he's always going to be around as long as she's around.
And that's the thing about it that pisses me off. I just like when you're looking at the championship belt over on SmackDown, you don't have that. You don't have Daniel Bryan getting that involved. You don't have
that was done intentionally.
Other McMahon getting involved. It's just those three guys.
Yeah, Shane has been.
But
Shane's not involved at all.
Going back to Daniel Bryan, it kind of him being involved kind of fit with what the rumor has been about him backstage all along. Is where if he doesn't feel you have that look, or you know he doesn't believe in you, that kind of came out on screen where. You know, you don't look the part. You're a B+ player. That's kind of the attitude he has backstage with a lot of people.
Well, it
kind of played itself out.
Triple H?
Yeah. So it kind of played itself out on screen with him.
See, I don't look at it that way. I think that whole authority angle, I think that was more a shot on Vince.
I thought that was him legitimately saying.
I don't think it's Triple H that has the feeling. I think that's a legitimate shot on Vince that Vince was accepting. That basically Triple H was saying, here, this is how people see, this is how you see everybody. That you think everybody's not as good because they're not as big.
He's buried a lot of guys though. Triple H has.
Well,
so I mean, like for me,
that's fine.
For me, that brought it from backstage on screen. Do you see what I'm saying? So it kind of for that particular angle.
Triple H is the reason why I stopped watching wrestling.
I wouldn't say for every angle.
Because he was winning every time.
It was all
John Cena syndrome.
Yeah, But back then it was the Triple H syndrome. You know.
Well, on that note, I'd like to thank Unibroue for your La Trebelle. With your quad, a really good quad. I like this quad. It's one of my, it's going to definitely go on my regular rotation of beers I'm going to buy.
I like your French accent.
I know.
It's sexy.
I know. When you're drinking beer and you need to put it down.
Stupid beer.
Never put your beer down.
If you were Triple H, I wouldn't give you a belt ever. So
take your nice craft beer and call it Budweiser. That'll really piss it off.
One of these weeks, I'm going to bring you a Budweiser, not tell you.
You'll know pretty quick.
But when you're looking to put your beer down, always make sure you put down on a vintagepressing.com coaster. You go to vintagepressing.com and get coasters, phone cases, and luggage tags. They sponsor us, so we can do this for you.
Another way you can help out the show is if you visit the beersandbodyslams.com website. You can click on the link that goes to High Spots. High Spots is your authority for shoot videos, pro wrestling archive videos that aren't on the network. Plus, you can get some Lucha Libre masks. You can get all sorts of wrestling apparel. And what they do over there at High Spots is anytime you purchase anything, it doesn't cost you anything more. They just kick back a few pennies for us, and that helps us keep the show on the air and free. So visit highspots.com via beersandbodyslams.com website.
Follow us on Untapped. Me especially, I definitely need friends. So you can follow me at good old OLJB.
You can follow me at Mr. Fluffy and watch as my alcoholism becomes a hobby.
Slowly killing his liver, ladies and gentlemen. And you can find me on Untapped at The Irish O'Leary.
You can also follow us on Facebook at Beers and Body Slams Podcast. You can see what we're doing, shows as we're putting them up. And you can follow us on Twitter at Beers Body Slams because we were too drunk to remember the end.
And the big thing, we want to find out what you think your ideas of the best feuds in the WWE post Attitude Era. What do we leave out? What do we miss? What do you guys think? You can leave us a comment in the show notes. You can leave us a comment over on Facebook. Just let us know what you guys think. I'd be fascinated to hear what you guys think. We left some out on purpose.
Yeah, we left a few out.
But we would love to know what you guys think.
But that's it for this week. Make sure you tune in next week for our normal talking about Raw and SmackDown, and then our next specialty show, which we'll figure out what it's going to be when we get that far because we're too drunk right now to remember.
Plus, we'll do our predictions for
No prediction.
Mercy.
Oh, God, I forgot there's another pay-per-view coming up.
Goodness.
Oh, God.
Make it stop.
That's what, 6 in like 8 weeks?
Every other week
Oh, my God.
is a pay-per-view.
But as always,
Do?
make sure you keep your pint glasses full, your body slam stiff. I love you.
You've been listening to the Beers and Body Slams podcast. Find us online at beersandbodyslams.com and on Facebook at facebook.com/Beers and Body Slams podcast. Until next time.
Have a nice day.